Hello, I haven't made a video in a while, so this is just going to be an update. There's not going to be a description of the medication I'm on right now because I don't have the paperwork with me at the moment. I left it at work for some reason, or in my car, I'm not sure, it doesn't matter. But I just got out of a psychiatric hospital about 2 days ago. I'll try to tell you what medication I'm on, even though I don't have it with me. They changed my antidepressant, and I'm now on. I keep on thinking Aflax, but it's Effexor. There it goes. I'm on Effexor on a very high milligrammed dosage. I take that in the morning with a Buspar and a Klonopin. They're pretty high dosages, and in midday I take another Klonopin with a Buspar, and at night I take Saphris, which is a sublingual. You put it under your tongue and it dissolves, and it's for basically mood disorders, types of things like that, and another Klonopin and Buspar. They've upped all my dosages, and the reason I went into the psychiatric facility was because I was having vivid, intrusive thoughts of me lying down on the kitchen floor with my wrist slit open, bleeding out and dying, and then having my friends and family coming inside and seeing me dying and me being able to do nothing about it and just dying out on them while they watch me die. I was committed. They say voluntarily, but if you do leave AMA, then they do let the cops know, because you are basically suicidal, and they can't legally not tell anybody. I think this last stay that I did was a lot helpful than my first. Granted, it's mostly for stabilization, getting you to a place where you can live outside again. However, this time I'm doing something called the PP program, which is a partial hospitalization program. You can look it up. Maybe I said it wrong, but I know the first part is partial hospitalization, and it's intensive group therapy, in which they basically rip you to shreds and bring out the things that you don't want to bring out, that you never even thought you had buried inside of you. And I've only had 1 day of that, and it was intense. So I'm going to have to be doing that for about the next 2 weeks. Thankfully, my boss and my job is working with me, and they're going to allow me to work at least like 10 to 12 hours on the weekend and come in after hours during the week. Hopefully I can keep that schedule, but it's my first time trying to do something like that, so I know it's going to be difficult. I'm moving out of the house that I've currently been in for 2 years. I've been living with my best friend for 2 years, renting a room. I'm moving out because I think it's something that I need to do in order to get healthy. I need to learn what it means to be independent again and do things on my own and take care of myself. I still have to text my support group, which is just my people who you trust in order to, they're basically like sponsors. People who are addicts know what that means. I have to text them every time I take my medication. If I'm gonna have a drink, like during lunch, I have to text them and let them know. If I'm feeling any type of suicidal thoughts or harming others or harming anybody or things or animals, I have to text them immediately. I'm basically on a suicide watch without someone physically here. And if you've ever been on suicide watch, you know they don't let you go anywhere without somebody with you. The place I was at was more, the people I was in the unit with most of them were there for chemical dependency. Very few of them were in for suicidal and depression. severe depression, and weren't addicts, so they didn't have to go to the chemical dependency classes, and in a way, neither did I. However, when I did go to the chemical dependency classes, there were maybe one or two things that I took away from it that helped me, and I've decided to do the 12 steps. Alcohol, I am not an addict, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not any of these things, and but if you read the Red Book, which they give for free, basically, it's said that it can help anybody. So I'm going to work the 12 steps, and as they tell you in AA, you start with step 1. You complete step 1, no matter how long it takes, and then from then you go to step 2, and then so on and so on. You can't go from step 1 and then go to step 12, which is about a spiritual awakening, being able to realize that you're not in control. And I believe that these steps will help me in controlling what is unmanageable, which is part of the 12 steps. The first step is saying that you are a slave to alcohol and your life has become unmanageable by yourself. I'm going to be using it as my disorders. My disorders have become unmanageable. And I have to admit that, and I have to figure out what that means to me. And I have to come up with many goals and work these goals. And the only way I'm going to get better is by working these support groups and by fully committing myself and sharing. I'm not a very sharing person. YouTube is the only place that I do share. But now I'm actually sharing with other people and getting feedback, and I have so much to live for, but my disorders sometimes don't let me remember that. They don't let me remember that there are things to live for. Moving out is something that I need to do immediately. That's going to be very difficult for me because, well, it won't be too difficult for me because I've been a chronic nomad for most of my life. I stay at an apartment for about maybe 12 months, 8 to 12 months, and then I'll move to another one, and then I'll move to a townhome, and then I'll rent a house or something like that. This is the longest I've stayed in one place since I've started living on my own. And I know it's going to be difficult, I know it's going to be hard, but one of the things that you're taught are that obstacles come into your life and you aren't in control of them, and you have to learn how to navigate them. You have to learn how to not just sidestep them, but acknowledge them and figure out a way to deal with them in a healthy manner. And that's another thing. I have to figure out what healthy means to me. It's another thing I have to write down, and something I've barely started. I used to journal when I was younger, but I would only get about 4 pages in and then never touch the book again. But recently I've been journaling nonstop, and it has been helping. Even if the only things I write down are, I'm trash, I'm a monster, I'm worthless. Later on, when you look back on those things, you think, why the hell was I thinking these thoughts? Where did they come from? And you start to have self-realization about who you are and what you are. This disorder I have is going to be something that I'm going to have the rest of my life, and it's an obstacle, and it's something I have to not fight. It's something I have to accept that is a part of me. And now I have to learn how to live with it in a healthy manner, not in a numb way, not isolating myself, not pushing people away, not focusing on myself. I have to be open to criticism. I have to be open to being told that the way you're thinking is not healthy, and being told that by someone you've just met, even though they're a therapist and they've been doing this is their profession, is hard to take. I mean, I have the thought process of who the hell are you to tell me what to think and what to feel? Who the hell are you? You don't know all of my backstory. You don't know all the things that I've done or been through. You don't know what's going through my head. But in the end, they are coming from the side of healthy living. And if they're telling you something that is going against your thought process, then your thought process is more than likely not healthy. But again, you have to go to people you trust. You have to shop around, basically, and find someone that's working with you, someone who cares about you, someone who wants to help you, someone who doesn't want to control you, someone who isn't just there to get a paycheck. And unfortunately, there are tons of people out there who are that way. I don't want to live on medication the rest of my life. I want to be able to get to the point where I can live my life without medication, but that's more than likely not going to be my case. But downing my dosages, cutting out some of my medication that I don't need, being able to deal with life by myself is a goal of mine, and I'm going to have to do a lot of self-realization in order to get there. And that's my story for today. That's my thoughts and my goals for the day. Earlier, on Friday, this last Friday, I was living 30 seconds to 30 seconds. And when people tell you live day by day, I wasn't living day by day. I was living 30 seconds at a time, 30 seconds at a time. Right now, on Saturday, which is just the day after, I can tell you that I'm living 8 hours a day. I am living 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day. As long as I can make it 8 hours, I can make it the next 8 hours, but I only have to focus on the right now. I can't dwell in the past. I can't, you're not supposed to forget the past, but you cannot dwell in the past. And the past is something that also needs to be dealt with. Things that I didn't even think were issues in my life, I'm finding out are issues. And I'm about to go to sleep right now, and I'm going to try to get back up early and go to work and try to make my day and live my life. So goodbye, and not in a bad way. I'm saying goodbye for the night. I hope these videos can help someone who's recovering or at the beginnings of recovery, or wanting to get help, or anybody who just wants to listen to somebody else's story. I hope, even if you're taking this in a negative way, you're still listening. And I appreciate that, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm saying good night for the night. Goodbye, and thank you for hearing me.